Hi, everyone. Welcome to the call, this new format weekly call thing that we're trying to organize here at PyScript land. Today we have here, I'm Fabio, and I have Valerio and Sophia. I'll let you all introduce yourself in a bit.
Hello, everyone.
But yeah, I just wanted to start with actually what is this thing and what's the intent of this call? So it's been a while now that Sophia and I have been chatting and saying, a lot happens in PyScript every week, and it's really hard to keep up the pace, and it's really hard to communicate things to the community and get feedback from the community. So we thought it would be great to have a weekly call or a bi-weekly call or something like this, where we just hop on a call and talk about, what happened this week, what school, what you heard about that relates to PyScript or WebAssembly or things related to what we're trying to do. And so that's here are we trying to do that. Very scrappy call, no agenda, not much of preparation, just a bunch of friends hopping on a call on a Friday over beers to close the week.
We go with the flow.
Go with the flow, exactly. So because we're just improvising, this call is not streaming live, etc., but the intent is to stream live. So Sophia is gonna volunteer to say, I'm gonna cut anything that you all say that is not appropriate or any stupid things from the call. So thank you, Sophia.
Yes, for this one, but in the future it will be live streaming, so
exactly.
will be no editing in the future.
All right. Okay. So who knows who's these P's will make the cut in the end.
Yes.
So, yeah, that would be interesting.
Okay, so why don't we start with introductions?
Sure.
Yeah, do you want to start?
Oh, did you say Sophia or Valerio?
Sophia.
Okay. Hi, my name is Sophia. I am a data scientist and a DevRel at Anaconda. I've been working at Anaconda for 5 years now, and I've been a PyScript user for 2 years now, ever since it got launched in when was it? 2023?
No, it's 1 year.
It was 1 year.
3 months.
Oh God, I'm so embarrassed. I was thinking like 2 PyCons ago, which is like, that was last year. Yes, you're right.
Last year, yeah.
It was last year.
Years.
Yeah.
So 2022 in PyCon, we announced PyScript. It was super exciting, and yeah, super excited to be here.
Thank you. It actually would be
Wonderful.
a cool thing to have in your resume. 2 years of experience in PyScript.
This is one of those things like 5 years of experience of Fast API. And the project is around like for 3 years something.
Exactly.
Kind of a joke going around, yeah.
Yeah. So Valerio.
So it's me now, like blubbing and saying stupid things as I normally do. I'm Valerio. I'm a data scientist as well, and DevRel in Anaconda too. I'm having the pleasure to work with this technology since it's been launched as well. Actually, to be honest, one of the fun story I can tell is like I started doing talks for Anaconda even before I actually became an official employee. I had my very ever first talk about PyScript and PyData London last year, and I remember I was absolutely frightened of like what I'm gonna say, what's gonna happen. It's gonna be my first joke ever, and I'm not even like starting, so if I'm gonna mess this up, it's gonna be bad. I was really light, and it was very cool technology, but since then it's a very, very nice journey, and I'm really happy to be talking and be involved with this project since then.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, and I remember that.
Yeah, that was like.
That was good. All right, I'll go real quick next. I'm Fabio, creator of PyScript, employee of Anaconda since, well, for almost 9 years now, I think, in October. And I'm a software engineer, and I'm mainly working on PyScript these days. Been in the Python community for a lifetime. Very interested in community, how we spread knowledge, and a lot of the things that what PyScript is all about. So really happy to be here with this amazing group of people. Couldn't be happier. Yeah. So
can I say something about Python community? I
Yeah.
mean, something that probably doesn't go off publicly much often, but we should say this, I think. You are one of the founding member of the Python Italia Association. So one of the reasons why we do have a vivid and very nice Python community in Italy is also because of you. So public shout out to you exactly for this reason.
Yeah, thank you. It's been, it also reminds me how old I am. So which is a good
That was my intention. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, actually a big ciao to all the Italian community. I really miss you all, and I missed this year PyCon.
I'll make sure they will see the message.
Nice. Okay, so now that we're round of introductions is out of the door, let's well, since it's a special one, it's the first one. How about we start just briefly saying what is PyScript, and and what's the difference between actually PyScript and PyScript.com and things like this. You're looking at me saying like, hey, you brought that topic, you talk about it, but
yeah.
Okay, I'll talk about it.
You are the creator. You are the person to talk about it. Go
Which I have a biased view in that sense, but I'll give it a try. And if you all think or disagree, or think I should be saying something,
okay, I'm ready. Go ahead.
So what is PyScript? PyScript. Oh, actually, before I start, we didn't do this on purpose. The shirt. It's not like a team shirt or a exclusive.
It's totally a team shirt. PyScript team.
Just
Yes, actually, I
great mind things alike kind of thing.
Yes, I can't show you the back of my laptop, but I'm all geared up with PyScript.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah, gadgets and stuff. Anyway, what is PyScript? PyScript is this platform that allows users to run Python on the browser. And now, more recently, as we are reworking on the project and changing some of the internals, it's really beyond that. Now it allows to run multiple languages and interpreters in the browser simultaneously. In addition to PyScript, to JavaScript, it also offers, through the interpreters that we are using, Pyodide or MicroPython, allows to a bridge between JavaScript and those languages. So we call it FFI, foreign function interface, where it allows, for instance, to have things and objects and libraries in JavaScript and import them in Python, or vice versa. So basically getting the best of both worlds.
Can I interrupt you a second and make you a question, give you a question? So you're going very technical here, but if you have to summarize 2 or 3 main features of PyScript, what would you say? What's the first thing that comes in mind?
Great question. So actually trying to bump a level, right? I think PyScript is, as a platform, one of the interesting things that it offers is that all of a sudden it offers a possibility for Python to run on different platforms as well. Python historically is actually, it's crazy that Python is the most popular language in the world, and it's used everywhere. But with the exception of the 2 most popular hardware and software platforms, right? The browser and mobile and tablet and whatnot. So all of a sudden with PyScript, you can actually write Python applications and then run them on mobile or the browser without much effort. So that's one. The other actually interesting feature of PyScript is that it allows you to also distribute your Python applications or your applications in general very easily. Historically, it's really hard to do that because Python comes with an interpreter and you don't have a build system out of the box where you just say, okay, I want to create an XZ or an executable all of my application and then just distribute it, right? Interesting enough, I was giving a talk recently and I asked the audience, how many of you think you can write a Python application like a hello world, the most basic thing, and then share that application with your family that have no, computer knowledge, and in 1 hour, and basically just 3 hands showed up, and then in a day, let's say a day, and 15 people maybe raised their hands out of 400.
Okay. Very smart programmers.
Yeah. So and at the end of the talk, I asked the same question, and everybody was like, "Yeah, under 5 minutes," which is one of the superpowers of this.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then just to close, I think it enables a lot of interesting scenarios where you can actually now have Python applications or other applications that run in the browser and integrate with everything in the browser, right? So you can have documentation that has a sandbox where you can explore and let your users learn your programs, or you can now have all the examples of a book that you wrote published on a website, and just have your audience share them and try them. Or you can run data science dashboards and then publish out there without having to install anything on others' machines. So yeah, in that sense, it's a platform that enables all of that. And to close, it also has a plugin system that allows users to extend that as well, adding additional functionality.
That's pretty cool. So I'm not going to drive this because but I'm not gonna like talk extensively about it because I'm really passionate about the project. I really want to hear Sophia saying something about PyScript. But if we were doing what's the cool thing you had seen about PyScript this week? I was no kidding. The thing is, I had a webinar this week on an Anaconda webinar, practitioner webinar, and the reason why I'm mentioning this is mostly because I was following a very similar path in introducing PyScript, and essentially that was inspired. What I really want to say is like, go check it out. The PyCon 2019, I think, Cleveland keynote by Dr. Russell Keith McGee, another esteemed colleague in Anaconda. He was in 2018, so before PyScript, before everything happened later on. He was like visionary. It was an amazing talk in which he was trying to envision what Python is going to look like, what Python is going to be in 10 years' time. And he was making exactly this point of Python. How can it be possible to have Python, which is one of the most popular languages nowadays, competing with other languages, not having a story at all about how to package and distribute the applications and whatsoever. And I think one of the cool things about PyScript is like, it makes this exact thing quite simple to do. So that was like really mind-blowing.
Yeah. Yeah, I should give credit to Russ around this. How is it possible? The most popular language compared to the most popular platforms. His talk was indeed visionary. It was
amazing. Yeah, he's going to talk. He was talking about black swans and something. It was absolutely worth checking out. I'm just getting the mic now to be the driver, but I will be releasing it very soon. I just want to ask the same question to Sophia now. So I really want to hear your voice about it.
Yeah, so I love PyScript. Obviously, it brings programming to 99%, as Peter said. But one of my favorite features as a data scientist is that I can use JavaScript libraries in Python, which is like mind-blowing. I can just do import D3, and then you can import D3.js to write Python code. When you are using JavaScript, it's just like, how is that possible? And now it is possible with PyScript.
It's a very fine, it's a very great message there, because I think, and we should be saying, I think I'm going to say it, you are one of the most talented person I know about data visualization.
Oh my God,
And
thank you.
and Python doesn't have an exact story there, meaning that, you know, this is something I normally think about. When you think about the Zen of Python, one of the thing in the Zen of Python is there should be preferably one way to do it. And then there's a lot of options in the Python ecosystem. These can be similarly applied to the web frameworks 10 years ago. It can be applied to data visualization libraries nowadays. So Python doesn't exactly has an history yet over there, because it's trying to accomplish different tasks, for example. But I do remember back then working with Bokeh, for example, which was one of the first library Anaconda supported for interactive visualization. And one of the and I remember, Fabio, you were in the core team, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah.
so you can definitely tell me you're saying stupid things. But what I do remember about it was like Bokeh was offering to the Python world a Pythonic way to avoid interacting in JavaScript. Because interacting with JavaScript for Pythonistas was something not exactly interesting, or probably not like in the vibes of data scientists doing Python things. So Bokeh was offering this option, but nowadays PyScript is all about, you can interact with JavaScript directly in a Pythonic way, in a way that you're actually programming in Python and you're not even realizing you're indeed calling JavaScript objects in the back end.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Actually, big shout out to the Bokeh team and the Bokeh project, Brian and everyone else. Yes, I did spend 3 years-ish as a core developer for Bokeh. Was great. Actually, we should have Brian and others join the call. Actually, one of these days would be a
That'd be fantastic.
great
Yeah.
one. Yeah. And I remember, it's in that sense, I think that gave a lot of inspiration for, things in PyScript today, where we use JavaScript stuff in Python and matching Pythonic APIs between different languages and things like this, which is very interesting. Yeah. I'll switch to, actually, let me steal the stage real quick just to share one thing real quick, which is, well, we talked about PyScript. Where do you go to check it out, right? Which is, you should go to PyScript.net, which is the front page of the open source project, and it allows you to check the project, check the documentation, and start using it.
I think the install section is very interesting, isn't it?
Yes, which I think we should. Actually, a couple of times I told my kids to, hey, can you go and try it out? And they were like, okay, Dad. And then they like this section, they were like, oh, come on. I thought you had something, and now you only like, I don't need to install, but I don't know where to go from here. So I think we still have a lot to do in terms of usability. But yeah, that was trying to be fun. Yeah. So actually, this gives me the right segue to the other thing that I wanted to talk about, which is, we do have the PyScript open source, and we also have another thing that is called PyScript.com, which is not quite the same thing. Do you all want to say what's the difference, or you want me to go? I don't want to put you in the spot.
I'm happy to say it if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the way I do present PyScript normally is it's PyScript.com normally is it's the go-to tool that by the way, it's free to use, and you just have to sign in. It's the tool that you want to use to get started with PyScript. We know no fuss, no issue whatsoever. So first off, PyScript.com offers you an interactive editor. You have a template of a project. It's an HTML file, a main.py file, and a configuration file, that PyScript.toml file. Then you have an editor supporting syntax highlighting, so you can actually write Python in the browser with some editor support. But the most interesting bit of that is like you just can click on save and run, and you immediately see what is the preview of your application. This is very useful to get started with, because you can immediately see what's going on in your application, which like under any change in your code, it goes back immediately into the preview. And the story is not over yet, because once you've like you have full support in this editor, you can program your own application, and when you're done, you can actually see a preview of your application. There's a link in the preview tab that opens up the live preview of the full application. And in the meantime, there's loads. So PyScript.com allows you to have a dashboard on multiple applications. So when you see the preview, like the page we're seeing, if you look at the bottom right corner of this page, there's a little tiny link there saying made on PyScript.com. You can click on view code. When you view the code of a general application, you're essentially brought into a read-only editor in which you can click on copy project. So imagine someone else is going to share your application, their application. You can view this application in your own PyScript.com account. You can copy it. So you're essentially copying this project into your own dashboard, and you can start playing with it. So what's the mind-blowing thing about PyScript.com is not only a tool to get started, very easy. So you don't have to set up anything, just open the browser and start programming. That's exactly one of the main goals. But secondly, once you've done with your application, you can distribute this application super easy. It's just a URL. And you're not just distributing the application, you're also distributing the code. And it's actually running in the browser. So any device supporting a browser can open it. So you're at the same time distributing app and code running on multiple devices. That's the mind-blowing thing.
Nice. I could have said better. I'm glad you did, and I'm not even paying you, which is amazing.
I really love the project. I'm one of the most eager user of this project since. I'm also sometimes like complaining about things I don't like, but the very few things, to be honest. And the team, by the way, let me give a shout out to the whole team with PyScript.com and PyScript as well. But specifically, I want to talk about the team of PyScript.com. They are doing an amazing job in like having lots of feature implemented at speed of light velocity. There's lots of cool things happening right now. One which I can remember is usernames. So we'll be launching that very soon. So when you have an account, you can set up your own username. And the idea is like when you have, now you see a very strange URL in your application like that, this can become a URL. So the URL that you share is like more readable and more memorable, stuff like that. So the username is indeed the first part of the URL. You can assign, that's the user ID, you can assign your username. That's going to be
I'm really excited for this coming too, to be honest.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think you covered a lot. The only thing I would actually add on .com is that it is a SaaS offering, free for users, right? Like, and it is not necessarily part of the open source project. It is a SaaS offering that is additional, and mostly because it needs it needs infrastructure, it needs a lot of different things to support users and saving their projects and whatnot. But one thing that I can say is that PyScript.com is a freemium model. We will always support a very meaningful free tier where users can just create their projects, share with people, etc. And that's going to be basically forever. The things that we're going to be putting behind paid features are more like for unlimited quota in terms of project size or files that you can host and stuff. So we'll probably always support unlimited projects for free. But if you need to save a video or something very heavy and stuff like this, you can either host your files elsewhere, or have them on a paid tier on PyScript.com. Other things are like access to an AI assistant to help you code, or things like one of the challenges of Python on the browser is what happens if you need to connect to an API or have secrets and stuff like that. So we'll be rolling out very soon features to support that type of proxy things, and those will probably be paid features and whatnot. But again, we really think that this helps the community. This helps everyone trying to learn Python and everything. Like just hopping on a website and sharing and creating your projects for free is a huge part of the vision. So
can I say a fun story about something happening with PyScript.com? So as you can see on the title of the tab you have over there, this application has been automatically named by PyScript.com as Snowy Water. So meaning that every time you create a new application, so can you show them when you create a new app in your dashboard, like clicking the plus button over there, you have a new project. And so this is essentially be named randomly with some name generator. This is Royal River in this case. What happened to us one morning, we realized later, was like we were, it was a team meeting and we were testing live on PyScript.com the release candidate of the latest PyScript version. And we were like trying to fix some bugs. And later on we realized, and that was like one morning, 3-4 of us like over Zoom doing live coding and pair programming remotely. That was fun. That was really lots of fun. And then we realized that the name of this application was like Morning Labs. That was perfect naming. I don't know what happened over there, but that was perfect naming.
Nice. It is weirdly sometimes the names auto-generated are weirdly appropriate to
exactly. I don't know if you have a microphone in my house, I don't know, but yeah.
Sophia, you've been quiet. Did you have anything to add?
I have a lot of thoughts. So PyScript is a community effort. It's a open source project. PyScript.com, in my mind, is the UI for you to use it easily and deploy. Would you like to show people how they can contribute to PyScript? Because we have a lot of community contributors, right?
Yes. Actually, that's one of the things this call is all about too, right? Like, how do we reach out to the community more? How do we talk more, etc.? And first thing is just opening up, like with meetings like this, but also the meetings that we usually run weekly in the maintainers group. We want to transform this as an open call where the community can join as well and can give feedback. The other thing is also we have a weekly or bi-weekly call called PyScript Fun, where we just share examples and cool stuff. That is also going to be a weekly open community call. It's already open, but we do a very poor job socializing it. So those are the things we want to do. If you want to contribute or just check the project and stuff, we do have the main page here has a link to the examples that you can check out. Like these are all applications that you can start looking at. You also have access to a lot of them in PyScript.com as well. And actually, these are my projects, but if you go to trending or featured, there are a bunch of projects that are created by others that are just shared with everyone, and you can view the code. And as Valerio said, you can just try it out, and then if you like it, you go and copy the project and whatnot. Documentation linked directly to in the main page of the open source project. You can follow us on Twitter at PyScriptTV. We also have at PyScriptCom.com or something like this on Twitter forum.com.
There is, yeah.
Yeah, and then you can come visit the GitHub project if you want to contribute. So we have a bunch of open issues that we need to work on, that you can start contributing. Just checking the documentation, providing feedback and bug fixes and stuff like this. This is something we're currently working on and improving how to contribute and the contributing guide and the developing process. But yeah, and here you also have access to a lot of the resources like the official docs, homepage. A couple of things that we didn't say in the main page is the blog post where we put a lot of the posts around PyScript, and then the Discord channel where you can go follow the project and whatnot. Anything else? Or did I forget anything, Sophia? For what
That
we
was
look
perfect. Thank you. Yeah, contribute to demos, docs, code, anything.
Yes.
And
yes.
did I see that we have more than 100 contributors already? If you go up.
Yes, I think so.
114 contributors.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
114.
Incredible.
That's surprisingly. Actually, I thought we were less. That's so amazing.
It is, yeah. And anything counts as in standard community open source contribution. I remember one of the contribution I did back then was like a misprint in one of the log messages, and it's like something like a comma missing or something. So I felt particularly honored to be featured in the list of contributors, but in the new release. But that was actually a comma.
Oh, nice. That counts. Yeah, we have
everything counts
17...
in open source.
Yeah, and then we have almost 17,000 stars on GitHub. That's
absolutely
pretty nice.
It is. It is really, really, really cool project, especially because it's brand new in terms of potential. This idea of and we should probably reframe this crystal clear. When you use PyScript, and in particular you run Python in the browser with PyScript, it doesn't matter if you have Python installed on your machine or not, because you're not using your Python on the computer. You're just running the Python running in the browser, which is not the Python you have installed locally, meaning that you don't need to install Python to get started programming Python. And this is absolutely unique as a feature. So imagine someone wants to start learning programming in Python. You don't need to install Python, which normally is the first thing you find in the guidebook of like, okay, getting started, download Anaconda or download whatever and install Python. And you don't have to do that anymore. It's like really, really unique.
Yeah, true. Okay, so just for the sake of time, let me force function jumping through the next section of this, which was, the traditional, what we hope to be the usual, not a big introduction like we did today, but what's going on this week? What have you all learned or heard about that got your interest?
Who's gonna go first?
Valerio's webinar. I want to learn more about your webinar.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, this was it's on Anaconda practitioner webinar, and it was about funny you mentioned, because it's like I really liked doing the webinar because it was after, well, it was less than a year I did another webinar on PyScript, and one of the section in my presentation was about the things I've seen changing in the project, and lots has changed. And if you want, I can actually, I think that's exactly the moment in which I do show off my wonderful memes I prepared for PyScript. I hope you can see it right now. So yes. One part of that presentation was like, it's slightly more than 1 year, a lot has changed, and I've tried to summarize all those things changing using Bender, which is one of my favorite characters from Futurama, by the way. And so it was like, let me see if I can show you this. So this was PyScript in June 2022, and this is how PyScript looks like in June 2023. Well, certainly is more colorful and more like, interesting as a project. But the real takeaway message from this slide was like, you from the outside, the project looks more or less the same. But what has changed is a lot in its internals, and even more so with what's going next in the PyScript release story, and we will be talking about it in the end probably. In the beginning, PyScript was quite monolithic, meaning it was a single page application, was developed in Svelte framework, and it was being a single page application was like a sort of collector of many things. And generally this is something, well, and it started with an alpha stage. So something I said in one of my first webinar or talk, that talk I mentioned before, PyData London, I said everything is going to change, everything is really alpha stage, so be mindful when you use these things. But nowadays, PyScript has changed a lot internally. So first off is faster. So performance is one of the first thing that the core dev has been I've been working on, and even more so with the next release. I'm keep mentioning this just but not saying much, not to spill the bean. This being faster has a lot of implication, meaning the code run faster, but also the download time is like reduced because the sum of like the size of the packages have been reduced, in fact PyScript is lighter because it's like less component, and now supports plugins, so you can, some of the things that were part of the PyScript infrastructure has been taken out and introduced as plugins that you can decide to enable or not, like reduce the component you don't need to use by default. Another interesting thing is the code base has changed a lot. So PyScript is more robust in terms of, from a software engineering perspective, it includes actual test. And we have one of a friend and core dev there, which is making lots of fuss about the fact that we have tests now in the code base. So he went like, we was PyCon Italy and was like, be mindful. He was talking to me, was PyScript exists because of Fabio, but it works because of me. He was really really opinionated about that. He's a core dev wishing to remain anonymous, but you can read his name over there.
Well, this very anonymous core dev is, yeah, we have a lot of colorful conversations about it, and it's, yeah, definitely I'm responsible of a lot of bugs for PyScript, and definitely helped with the quality of things.
Absolutely, yeah,
yeah.
But we should be saying that it was like prepared for a demo during PyCon, Peter's keynote in PyCon US keynote, but then lots have happened because we started to have a community around the project, and that was the amazing thing.
Well,
So
in both, the keynote was the first test.
It was, yeah,
with test, demoing live to 3,000
right, that's true,
without failing is a test on its own.
Yes, it is, yeah.
You go ask
Testing in
any Apple
production
engineer before they announce every iPhone.
Exactly.
Understand those are the tests.
Yes.
But yeah, now we have automation and automated tests, which is way better.
Exactly, which is what makes Antonio very proud.
You said his name. No.
Oh, well, it was written over there anyway. Something you've been mentioning earlier, it was like PyScript is now a platform, and this one of the aspects that has changed in the configuration of the project. So it started to be, and we started to calling it a framework, but then we soon realized that it's more like a platform rather than a framework, because it's like a piece of software that allows you to build things on top of it. And we do have already PyScript CLI, which integrates with PyScript, and we have PyPicard, which is going to be renamed very soon into Invent, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And so this evolution of the project as a platform, it puts the project to a higher level, like something more than just a framework. And well, this was a few examples. We can skip this, but this is the actual thing I wanted to talk about. PiScript Next. So bring programming to 99% is still the goal of one of the most important goal of PyScript, and PyScript Next is going to be the next release of PyScript. So you mentioned interpreters, something that the community was waiting for, because we announced this in March, if I'm not mistaken, as a technical preview support, because PyScript builds on top of Pyodide, but it was a technical preview, like also supporting MicroPython. And the next release is going to provide full support of MicroPython officially as the alternative interpreter. And as you mentioned before, it's not just like Pyodide and MicroPython. There's also support of other interpreters in even like different languages. So we can have Ruby and Lua, and all of this is still in technical preview. So you can both chip in and like say more about PyScript Next, because it is the next thing happening. And if you were asking me what's the cool thing I've seen this week in PyScript, is indeed the announcement of PyScript Next. There's a technical preview officially announced. And this is the link, by the way. You can go pyscript.net/tech-preview/PyScript.core. That's the link to see technical preview of PyScript Next. I think I'm going to shut up now. Probably in the end of my presentation, and if you want, you can see the full webinar on Anaconda webinar. I was featuring this example, which is one of the example you can see in the, as you can see in the URL over there, one of the example you can see in the tech preview. And this was one of the most interesting thing PyScript Next is going to bring. So this is interesting for two things. First is we have web workers running and programmed directly in Python, and web workers is one of those technologies which can be really game changer in the PyScript scenario, because we can have multiple threads essentially. So we can have multiple threads of execution interacting with each other. And this is exactly what's going on with this example. So you have JavaScript bootstrapping MicroPython, and then MicroPython talking to Python, and then to Lua, and then Lua back to MicroPython. And so there's like two workers talking to each other on different technologies, still based on the whole infrastructure, making these all languages running in the browser, which is particularly interesting. I think you're on mute.
I'm mute. Sorry. Yes, I was saying yes. Actually, can you reload the page real quick just to see that, running
the example
live?
you mean?
Yeah.
This is a slide. So
this is a slide. Okay, I have it. I have it open.
Yeah,
so,
if you have it, I'm going to stop sharing and you can take it away.
Yeah, because actually, the announcement was the main thing. That was the main highlight of the week for me as well. In terms of new things, right? Which is it's a pretty important milestone for the project, as you mentioned, Valerio. Let me just open here. And I think it's worth dedicating a couple of, let me close this, just to make sure I'm sharing the right, this is it. Zoom, share this. Yes. So this is the announcement on Twitter, and this is the real announcement on GitHub, which the main, the first post around posting this, and there are a bunch of things that are explaining that why is this tech review is important, what are the new things, and here, compared to the other places, here we have both the tech review but also the related documentation, which is quite important because this tech review is not PyScript. It's just the core, the new core. We will adapt a little. And so because of that, it has a different interface than PyScript for a bunch of things. We're going to work towards bringing the core into the PyScript platform and making we're going to be extending the interfaces that we have right now with a bunch of things and try to keep the ones that we have right now when it makes sense. But the gist of it is that this new work actually opens up to so many scenarios that, you know, we do have to rethink a few things. It's almost like, you know, you had cars and airplanes and whatnot, and now you have a new nuclear fusion engine, or I don't know, a time warp thing where you can travel really fast to other places. So should we keep the same type of means of transportations, or do we need to create new ones, right? Like it's sort of that type of problem, which is a great problem to have. So going to, this is the tech preview, as you mentioned. The worker, I think, maybe this is the one.
No, that's not the one. There were, I think it's called
many
core events or many. Yeah,
I think many. Of course.
I can tell you what was the URL I had. I was actually the core/test/worker.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do that.
Yeah, go test/ no, there's a test in the before that.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, test/worker.
There you go.
There you go.
Yes. Yay. All right. So let me reload the page.
Show the console first.
Yes. So what's happening here is that the reason I actually asked you to reload was because if you see, it runs way faster even to load than normal. Right now, it's actually a little cheating because it's using the cache, but it's orders of magnitude faster to load. And that is with multiple interpreters, right? That is because we're running those in web workers. So they load in parallel, and the page can keep going while those are loading. The other reason is also that most of these are smaller than the bigger Pyodide. They can load faster and whatnot. Right now, Pyodide is just bare Pyodide, so it's not installing NumPy and other things that make it heavy. But the cool thing about it is that now you have an option, and now almost like PyScript gets out of your way to do anything. You can run your application on workers, or you can run on the main thread. You can communicate between the both of them. You can now actually now, because we run on web workers, you now can have access to blocking calls, which was not possible before. So because it would hang your page, now you can actually, this example here is actually showing that we have an input call that is waiting for you to input something, and then when you do something, it actually prints out, which is extraordinary, and not a single interpreter support that out of the box, which is great. What it means is also that now we can also add a debugger, potentially, right? It opens the door for us to do a debugger.
Let me try to rephrase what you said, because I don't know the code of this. I just tell you what I do understand. So what's going on with this application is, yeah, exactly, we can view the code. But my understanding is we have one web worker, which is running and has the input, Python input, called. And after that is indeed like sending the message to the main worker, the main thread, saying something like, look, I'm waiting, just I'm waiting for your answer. So he's like, it's doing what the web worker is doing, right? So it's waiting for the input. Yes. And then when you do click submit and in the button you had before, you're essentially posting the message to the web worker, this one, to this web worker waiting for the input, and so this web worker does something with the input. Is it correct? Okay.
Yeah. 99% correct.
Okay.
the 1% is just really technical details, but it's exactly what you said. Basically, the main thread spins a new worker with this code. And then here it executes this, it executes this. And because of this blocking call, it was actually just waiting for you to input something in that input box. And then
That's cool.
And then automatically, when you do that, it unblocks the call and prints everything out, which is exceptional. Actually, big shout out to Andrea, who's a new, well, at this point, he's been around for a couple of months, maybe more, probably more.
Probably more, I guess.
Yeah, he's not really new, but one thing that Andrea brings is a diversity in terms of technology experience. Most of the PyScript maintainers are heavy Python geeks. Andrea has a huge background in web tech and JavaScript and whatnot and front end, which is a different way of thinking and different way of accessing things, which is amazing for us because it builds the bridge between what Python dreams and the web. And yeah, that's why we made so much progress in short time, to be honest.
Anyway, and just to refrain something in case we want to say this, is diversity in teams matters, and it's very, very important. So yeah, let's say this, because sometimes people tend to forget.
Yes, yeah, thank you. In all levels, really, cultural, technical,
exactly. Yes,
everything, and skills. That's why I always repeat to everyone that asks me, it doesn't matter if you are technical or not, reach out to open source projects. There are a ton of things that those need that go beyond technical, right? Like good documentation, good user feedback. If you like marketing or streaming and stuff, you want to start something like this, generating videos and content for an open source project, all of that is super useful. So yeah, reach out. So that's really the main thing for me this week. The news of the new core is just mind-blowing. And I will actually go back to the announcement here just to have a nice thing. What else? Do you all saw anything else, or?
I'm just super excited for this announcement.
Yeah,
it's huge. It's like, wow.
Yeah. Now I think the main thing I'm excited about to start seeing us doing some experimentation with it. While actually maybe it's worth spending 30 seconds to say what's next, right, from the core team point of view. And what's next for us is really, we already started working on a real integration of this core on a branch that will be the new PyScript. And we've been discussing a lot of those things that are, well, what do we do with this feature? What do we do with the PyScript tag? And now that we can support a lot of different interpreters, what do we do with the config tag? Because now you can have multiple configs and things like this. But we're really hoping to have in the next release, which will integrate this very soon, meaning July or at the latest August. So things should be happening very fast. And that's exciting.
Nice.
That's it. I don't have other stuff. Do you have anything else, or should we call it a day?
I think that was a very nice ending message for the call today.
Nice. Yes. And actually, dude, great suggestion, Sophia. Do you all have an ending message, or this is it?
Oh, I loved yours. The future. Yeah. I'm looking forward to see more examples in our future calls. Yeah, more to come next time.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So if you're good, I'm good. That's it. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for watching. And really, if you have feedback, how we can improve this, if you have feedback on what you're looking for in those calls or how the project can be more engaging with the community, or how would you feel like we can help you contribute or reach out, just let us know. We're hungry for feedback. And that's it. Y'all enjoy your week and your weekend, and see you soon. Thank you.
See you.
Bye, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye. Cheers.